Namaskar. Today we have the last lecture. In this lecture, we will first talk about Panch Parameshti and then we will summarize what we have done in these 20 lectures. I will first recite the Namokar Mahamantra. Namokar Mahamantra in Jain philosophy has the same position as Gayatri Mahamantra in Vedic tradition. This is regarded as a Mahamantra, the biggest mantra. Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam, Namo Airiyanam, Namo Vajjayanam, Namo Lohe Savvasahunam, Eso Pancha Namokaro Savva Pavapanasanam, Mangalanam cha Savvesim Paramam Havai Mangalam. In this mantra, we are paying our respect, we are paying our obeisance to the divine souls. First, to all Arihantas. Namo Arihantanam. We bow to all Arihants. Namo Siddhanam. We bow to all Siddha souls, all Siddhas. Namo Airiyanam. We bow to all Acharyas. Namo Vajjayanam. We bow to all Upadhyayas. Namo Lohe Savvasahunam. We bow to all monks, all sadhus, sadhvis. Eso Pancha Namakaro Savvapapanasanam. This great mantra is such that it destroys all your pap. Mangalanam cha Savvesim Paramam Havai Mangalam. So, those who are reciting this mantra, it causes good for all. Mangalanam cha Savvesim Paramam Havai Mangalam. We recite this, you have Mangal, you have the well-being of yourself. This mantra is recited on all auspicious occasions, even in the daily life, time and again, and in all our puja, in all our worship, every time Namokar mantra is being recited. And many people have this habit that whenever they are free, the mantra jap is going on in their mind silently. So first thing now, the concept, what is Parameshti? So the Parameshti is one, or the Jeev that have become steady in their supreme nature, that is equanimity. Those who attain the state of equanimity, samatha, they are Parameshti. The difference between a Parameshti and other Jeev is that a Parameshti has attained that state of higher spiritual stage and has become steady in the state and has acquired the state of equanimity. Other beings who have not reached that stage are ordinary people like us. So those who have not attained this spiritual development are ordinary people. These other people like us also can have the stage of Parameshti, if you have that kind of a spiritual development. So the position here in Jainism is defined with respect to the spiritual attainments, and nothing else. There are 5 types of Parameshti, as we have just now said in the Namokar Mahamantra: Arihanta, Siddha, Acharya, Upadhyaya, and Sadhu. Siddhas have no body, they are bodiless. Because they are karmaless, they are also bodiless, So we don't know the Siddhas directly. We know the Siddhas because the Arihantas, so the Tirthankar have told us. So Siddhas have no body and therefore they are devoid of material modifications. They are free of karma, no karma with them. Arhantas have body, and they are therefore moving, speaking, and doing other physical and mental activities. In their case, the Ghatya karmas have been destroyed. The Aghatya karma are still in balance. And first one becomes Arihant, then he becomes a Siddha. So this is the order in which the development takes place. Acharya, Upadhyaya and Sadhu. This is another category of divine souls. So all three kinds of, all three these categories, Acharya, Upadhyaya and Sadhu, spiritually they may be at the same level, but they have a different kind of responsibilities, you know. So the virtues of all three are more or less the same, but they have some additional traits, you know, depending upon their position. For example, Acharya has the responsibility to exercise administration on the Sangha, on his group or on his sect, and so he must fulfill all the responsibilities of the group, you know. He is the person responsible, he is the head of the group. Upadhyaya has the knowledge of scriptures, you know. He must be a knowledgeable person, and he teaches sadhus the scriptures, and he knows the scriptures, he knows their meaning, and he has the ability to teach sadhus. Sadhu is the first stage of monkhood, you know. When a person becomes monk, he becomes a sadhu first, and then as he progresses, he can become upadhyaya, he can become acharya. State of Arihant is extraordinary. He is a human being like us, you know. But when he is preaching in a samavsaran, the religious or congregation, you know, of Tirthankar is known as samavsaran. And in this samavsaran, or in this religious meeting, you can say, all life forms take part. You know, they come to listen to him. Not only human beings, but even animals, birds, and so on. Even they come to listen to him. So they sit in the samavsaran, you know. And the beauty is that, you know, the life forms which are enemies among themselves, revengeful, you know. For example, a tiger and a dog. You know, otherwise, if the tiger meets a dog, he might kill him. But in this samavsaran, you know, they are friendly. Their feelings change in the presence of Tirthankar, you know. Such is the effect of Tirthankar. The people forget their animosity and they are full with emotions of love, emotions of compassion, and so on. So they forget their instinct of revenge and cultivate a spirit of friendliness. This is the effect of the presence of Tirthankar. Why are the Parmeshwaris saluted? Why they are respected? In fact, we salute their virtue and not the person, not the individual, you know. So it is the virtues which are worshipped in Jainism and not an individual. We worship a Tirthankar because he has that virtue. He is omniscient, he is Sarvagya. And similarly, we worship Acharyas, we respect Acharyas, Upadhyaya and Sadhu because divine souls, and they give us or pass on the message of Tirthankar to us, you know. So they are our Guru. So we salute them because of these virtues and not because of his individual being, you know. And because they are virtuous people, and we hope that by worshipping them, we'll also become virtuous. So we worship because we want to gain virtues in ourselves, you know. We want to become a virtuous person. So we worship such advanced souls. So salute not because of some kind of gain from them. No, this is not the object. Object is to become a virtuous person. Why do you salute Arihanta first? In the Namokar mantra I said Namo Arihantanam, Namo Siddhanam. So we first remember, salute Arihanta, then Siddha. Now what is the difference between Arihanta and Siddha? Siddha has destroyed all the karmas and he is now bodiless. He is no more attached with matter, with karma. Arihanta has destroyed only Ghatiya karma, and Aghatiya karma are still in balance, and he is attached to matter. Matter has not separated from his soul, and he still has, as I said, Aghatiya karma. So that way the Siddha is more advanced state. But we first salute Arihanta because we know Siddhas only through Arihanta. No, you know that गुरु गोविंद दोनों खड़े काके लागू पाए बलिहारी गुरुदेव की गोविंद देव बताए. So that way, it is the Arihant who, through him we know that there are Siddha souls, there are Siddhas in the Siddha Lok. Otherwise they are invisible and we don't have the power to know them. So because Arihanta is the first Guru, so we first salute Arihanta, then Siddha. It does not it does not represent the state of development, the order of state of development. Remember, Siddha is at a higher state. Now with that small introduction to what is Panch Parameshti, I like to now summarize what we have done in these 20 lectures. A quick run through the important points which we have learned. The first thing we learnt about the concept of a substance. What is a substance? That is the fundamental definition and the starting point of Jain philosophy. So we learnt about the substance first, and we know the substance is one that has eternal existence. Then it follows OCP rules: origination, cessation, preservation or permanence. Then it is a substance has qualities, a substance has moods. We studied that. Then we studied 6 kinds of substances: Dharmastika, Adharmastika, Akasastika, Pudgalastika, Jivastika and Kal. And we know what is the role of all these substances. Dharmastika, helps the motion of Jiva and Pudgal. Adharmastika restores or favors the rest position of Jiva and Pudgal. Akasastika gives accommodation to all the other substances. Pudgalastika is the matter and energy, all the things, all the objects which we see with our eyes or which we can sense are Pudgal, as we know. Jivastika is the soul, and the soul is there with every life form, right from bacteria to human beings, And Jainism believes that all souls are equal, whether it's a soul of a bacteria or a soul of a human being. There is no difference. They are only different state of development, So the soul of a bacteria is highly underdeveloped and the soul of a human being is highly developed. That is the only difference. Otherwise, there is no difference in the soul of the souls of every life form is equal potentially. Then we studied doctrine of karma. This is the law for the soul, and we know that every living being has a karman body and is continuously binding karma because of his activities and because of passions which are active, and these karmas in the karman body shroud the powers of the soul. So although we have infinite knowledge, potentially, we have infinite jnana, infinite darshan, infinite spiritual power and perfect bliss, we don't enjoy those things, those qualities, because of karma. And therefore our first objective must be to remove the karma in order that we experience our natural powers. And the cause of birth and death, the pain and misery, the biodiversity is karma. It is because of karma that you find such a diversity in life form in nature. If the karma were not there, all lives would be same. 4 features of karma we defined. Every karma has a prakriti, it is of particular type, pradesh, sthiti and anubhag. Prakriti and pradesh are decided by the yoga activities. Sthiti and anubhag are decided by the patience acting in a soul. And then we said that there are 8 types of karmas: Jnanavaraniya, Darshanavaranīya, Antaraya, Mohaniya, Ayu, Nam, Gotra, Vedaniya karma. And we also studied the role played by each karma. Each of these karmas shield a particular quality of the soul. For example, Jnanavaraniya karma, we know, it shrouds or does not allow to manifest the infinite Jnana, the infinite intelligence which is there in the soul. So our intelligence is limited, because of Jnanavaraniya karma. Darshanavaranīya karma shrouds the perfect perception. Antaraya karma forms or gives obstructions in the activities, good activities of a soul. So you are not able to donate things, and so on. There are 5 good activities we studied during that lecture. So this is because of Antaraya karma. And it is only the Antaraya karma is operating, all other powers may be obstructed. Mohaniya karma is the king of karmas, and it is the main hurdle in the spiritual progress of the soul. And the Mohaniya karma is of 2 kinds, as we said, Darshan Mohani and Charitra Mohani. Darshan Mohani is faith deluding, It does not allow you to have true faith in reality. And Charitra Mohani karma does not allow you to have pure conduct, So our conduct is always empowered or controlled by patience and quasi-patience and other limitations, So we don't have a perfect conduct. Our conduct is limited. Then Ayu karma, our lifespan depends upon Ayu karma, and the Ayu karma is when born. It decides the form of life you will have in the next birth, and the duration of the lifespan is decided by Ayu karma. Then Nam karma, which is responsible for construction and structure of the body, the architecture of the body, and so on. Gotra karma decides the status in which a person is born, high status or low status. Vedaniya karma is responsible for our happiness and unhappiness, pleasure, pain and misery, and these kinds of emotions. Vedaniya karma is responsible. If you look at the volume of these, comparative volume of these 8 kinds of karmas, Vedaniya karma has the maximum volume, I'll not go into the details of that, but the Vedaniya karma has the maximum volume. Ayu karma has the minimum volume as far as the pradesh is concerned. Then we also studied the bonding process, why the bonding takes place. Bonding of the karma takes place due to activities, which is known as yoga in Jainism, and kasha, So the yoga are responsible for ashra, the inflow of karma pudgal, and kasha is responsible for bonding of these karma pudgal with the existing karman body. So the bonding is due to yoga and kasha, If there is no yoga and no kasha, there is no bonding. For example, in the case of siddha, there are no karma, and therefore there is no bonding, and the siddha soul is never born again, It is liberated for all time to come, forever. So it doesn't take birth again, because there are no karma. Causes for bonding of each type, we discussed in detail what are the causes of bonding of each type of karma, and that was a very important thing. Is you must keep in mind, that now depending upon your activities now, depending upon your conduct now, you are going to decide your next life, So be careful that, you have a good life in future, and that will depend on your activities and your actions and your emotions now in this present life. Then we talked of 7 tattvas, fundamental truths: Jeev, Ajeev, Ashrav, Bandh, Samvar, Nijra, Moksha. All these stages are again dependent on the extent of karma we have, So as we talked how do you reach the moksha state, you have to have Samvar and Nirjara, and I told you what is the importance of Samvar and Nirjara. And when the whole Nirjara means shedding of karma, so when the whole karmas are shed, you reach the state of moksha and nirvana. So Jeev, Ajeev, Ashrav, Bandh, Samvar, Nirjara, Moksha we studied in detail. Then we studied 9 padarthas, or what we call as existences. Here, you have 2 more existences in the form of punya and pap, in addition to 7 tattvas. And we described, what is punya, what is pap, what is punya activity, what is pap activity, and what they are going to do in our life, or in the next life, This concept is very important for us to remember, so that, we are always conscious of our activities and make sure that we don't indulge in some kind of bad activities. So punya is conducive to the well-being of the self as well as the others, and it takes place because of love and compassion. So please try to keep this love and compassion always with you. And pap causes pain and misery to yourself as well as to others, and this is due to patience and vices. So please try to keep your patience and control and give up the vices if you have. I suppose you don't have, but if you have any, please try to give it up. Then we discussed about theory of knowledge, and we said there are 8 types of knowledge: Gyan, Mati Gyan, Sruta Gyan, Avadhi Gyan, Manapariya Gyan, and Keval Gyan. Keval Gyan means Arihant state, and there are 3 ignorances, Kumati, Kushrut, Avadhi, means these are the knowledge of those people who do not believe in the existence of soul. So that in Jainism is defined as Kumati, Kushrut, and Avadhi. It does not reflect upon the content of the knowledge, like science, philosophy, everything. They are good, but as far as the spiritual aspect is concerned, they are not helpful in liberation, and therefore we call them Kumati, Kushrut, and Avadhi. And darshan is of 4 types: Chakshu, Achakshu, Avadhi, and Keval. Then we studied the principle of Anekantvad, the philosophy of multiple aspects, and we also saw how this principle is helpful in dialogue and reconciling differences between various faiths and various beliefs and so on. This is a method of thinking and analysis, and it's a very important principle and very important application. Then we studied Nayavad, which captures the reality from individual point of view, and we studied what is known as Dravyarthik Naya, Pariyarthik Naya, Nischay Naya, and Vyavahar Naya. Then we studied Syadvad. Syadvad is a synthetic method to bring harmony between analytic standpoints, And we saw there are 7 ways, 7 steps of describing an object, And there are only 7. You can't have 8th one. There are 7 predications, And that way you are able to describe the thing in a totality, in a synthetic manner, integrated manner. Then we studied Samyak Darshan, Samyak Gyan, Samyak Charit, Ratnatraya as we call them. Samyak Darshan, is very important. It's firm belief in distinction between soul and body. That is the first thing to start a spiritual journey. So Samyak Darshan is important. Then we studied ethics, Vrata. So we studied Anu Vrat, 5 Anu Vrat, Guna Vrat, 3, Shiksha Vrat, 4. And then we also said that you must be free from Sapta Vyasan. And then we also said that what is the code of conduct depending upon this Anu Vrat. Then we talked about Mahavrat, Sanlekhana and Santhara. Then we talked about higher virtues, forgiveness, forbearance, humility, straightforwardness, purity, self-restraint. These are all higher virtues one must try to imbibe. Then we studied the global and societal problems and how the Jainism can solve these problems, because the environmental protection is intrinsic, innate, and inherent in Jain ethics. In short, in Jain Darshan, the life and the universe are controlled by laws. First thing, remember that. And Jeev and nobody else is responsible for its past, present, and future. You are responsible of what you are and what you will be. You make your future. It's very important. Well, I wish you all well in your life. Thank you very much.